Hi, I'm Erin Barber, and in this video I will be comparing athletes with skill and capacity issues in speed and agility exercises. Throughout this video we will be exploring the skill and capacity issues of 3 separate athletes taking part in speed and agility exercises. I have chosen the A-skip as a speed exercise commonly used for sprinting, and chosen shuttle run drills to cones as the agility exercise or change of direction. As you can see in this video, to begin with, I gave the first athlete a warm-up of completing the A-skips through a walkthrough. The athlete was given specific cues to perform the A-skip, such as keeping the ankles stiff in dorsiflexion, driving the knees up to hip height, planting the feet below the body, keeping the hand mouth to pocket, and keeping the hop rhythm during the A-skip. They were also asked to land on the ball of their feet. We can see from a snapshot of this athlete that they are not efficiently dorsiflexing the ankle. Now this means that they are not in a good position to absorb the shock and land efficiently to bounce off and sprint faster and more efficiently. This is highlighted even further when we compare this snapshot with the snapshot of the other athlete who has their ankle in a complete dorsiflexion stiff ankle state. To ensure this wasn't a capacity issue, we tested the client's mobility through ankle dorsiflexion exercises on both sides. As we can see here, they have a great range of movement at the ankle. The athlete displays good range in dorsiflexion in both ankles here, and highlights how this was a skill issue after they improved after more cues were given for the exercise. To rule out any other possible mobility issues, I completed a modified Thomas test on the athlete, asking them to lie back, hugging one knee into the chest and allowing the opposite leg to fall down. As we can see from this athlete here, there is some slight external rotation in the hip, but the knee is falling down well close to 90 degrees, showing that there isn't much mobility, range of motion problems in the hip. In this next shot, we can see that the athlete's arm is not in the right position at the back. However, this was changed with extra cues, showing it is a skill and not capacity issue. Here we have the second athlete performing the warm-up of the A-skips. Again, they were cued to keep the ankles stiff, drop down below the body and land on the balls of the feet. From the side view, this athlete is performing the A-skip well with very few limitations. However, when we see the A-skip from a behind and forward angle, we can see how the feet begin to turn in at heels before they drive up into the skip position. This could possibly be a skill issue, however it wasn't changed when cues were given, and therefore we have to go through mobility testing to test capacity. Here we did a dorsiflexion test, and we can see the athlete displays good range of movement in the ankles for dorsiflexion. This is portrayed on both sides, therefore we can rule out ankle mobility as a capacity issue for this client. Next we move on to the hips and perform a modified Thomas test to see if the athlete deals with hip flexion stiffness. Here we can see there is some minor tightness in the hips, however it is not excessive and not cause for the turning of the heels during the skip exercise. Now we can rule out mobility as a problem here. We have to test the activation of certain muscles. After testing activation of the glute max, glute med and abductors, I noticed that the athletes had weak muscles in these areas and therefore prescribed certain exercises to activate these muscles. Banded glute work is being performed here to help the client deal with a hip rotation problem, which hopefully will improve their stance during the A-skip exercise. This therefore was a capacity issue. Next, for the agility exercise, I chose shuttle runs. So here we can see the client beginning in the starting position, running to one point and back, then the second point and back, and then finally the third point. They were cued to drive forwards and sprint as fast as they can before changing direction back to their beginning point, asked to keep the hips high and drive forward in the body. We can see from the side view that there is limited ankle dorsiflexion with this athlete and they're not driving the knees up to hip height. We can also see there is little attention being paid to the arms as we can see them swinging across the body, which is not efficient for the exercise. This athlete is also landing on the heel striking as opposed to the ball of the foot. We can see here from the screenshot compared to the second athlete, the athlete A's foot is in a plantar flex position and the knee isn't driving up to hip height. After giving more cues, the athlete was able to perform the exercise in a more suitable manner, adjusting the dorsiflexion and bringing the hips up higher. However, to rule this out as a capacity issue, we did an ankle dorsiflexion test on the athlete, which displayed good range of motion, and therefore we can see this as a skill, not a capacity issue. The second athlete has a better performance in the drive of the sprint, as the ankles are dorsiflex and they are bringing the hands from the mouth to the pockets. However, there is still a display of heel striking here, where the athlete could be more efficient landing on the ball of the foot to drive forwards. However, where we see a problem with this athlete is from behind and forward, where we see a slight knee valgus problem, with the knees buckling in as they run. As this is the same athlete used as athlete B in the A-skips test, we already know that they display some glute weakness as they run. Now this is further pointed out in the knee valgus here on the sprints from the forward angle. Therefore, after doing those hip mobility and dorsiflexion tests, we can rule out mobility as an issue here again and focus on strengthening the glute medius, maximus and abductors to ensure that the athlete performs these sprint drills appropriately. After these videos, we can see that the athletes with skill issues perform better after receiving more defined cues, whereas the athletes who were displaying capacity issues needed to go through mobility testing and activation work to improve their exercise.